told us the story was simple. A tragedy, a grieving widow, a nation watching in sympathy.
They said it was a tragedy, a moment that shattered a movement and silenced a man whose voice had filled arenas. But when the lights dimmed and the hashtags began to fade, something else started to rise. A feeling that what we were told wasn't the whole story. Charlie Kirk's death was supposed to unite the nation in grief. Instead, it fractured it. Cameras captured chaos, screams, phones falling, the flash of confusion under the blinding lights of Utah Valley Arena. Within minutes, news anchors were calling it a public tragedy. But those who were there whispered a different word: setup. The first question wasn't who pulled the trigger, but why now? Just days before, Kirk had been speaking about faith, politics, and the future of America's youth. He looked unshaken, unstoppable. Then suddenly, silence. The video clips that surfaced that night were blurred, shaky, cut short. Witnesses described different things. Some saw a young man, others swore they were two. The only thing consistent was confusion.
For us, guys, where should we begin? I'll tell you this, something is not right.
By dawn, the internet had already decided. Conspiracies, theories, timelines, every corner of social media turned into an investigation room. Yet while the world searched for answers, one figure stood out in quiet contrast: Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow. At first, she was the image of calm resilience. Standing before thousands, dressed in black, she said three words that divided the nation: "I forgive him." The crowd erupted in applause, moved by her composure. But as the cameras rolled, others saw something different, not heartbreak, but performance. Within days, she was on stage again, speaking for Turning Point USA, wearing the same composed smile. No tears, no visible grief. Commentators online began dissecting her every move. She skipped mourning and went straight to marketing, one tweet read, gathering hundreds of thousands of likes. Another posted, "This isn't strength, it's strategy."
The entire world to see this woman is not grieving anything.
From this, that young man, I forgive him.
And then came the podcast clip that ignited a digital wildfire. Joe Rogan's voice cut through the noise, calm, deliberate, unnervingly sharp. "Something doesn't add up," he said. "The rifle, the footage, the details, none of it lines up." It wasn't an accusation, just a question. But sometimes, a question is more dangerous than a claim. The clip spread faster than any news report. Within hours, the words Joe Rogan, Erica Kirk, and Charlie conspiracy were trending across the country. Every second of that video was analyzed, slowed down, reposted, dissected like evidence from a national scandal. Suddenly, the narrative flipped. The woman once praised as the symbol of faith was now being questioned as a potential player in something far darker. People began digging into her past, business ties, travel records, her connections to certain political donors. And when a few of those threads led overseas, rumors of Romanian links flooded the internet. The pieces didn't fit neatly, but that didn't matter. In the digital age, mystery spreads faster than truth.
No matter what, about a court appearance, anything else, that resonated with every Christian because they're supposed to be forgiving.
Yeah.
And that just subliminally, subconsciously, or very overtly
trying to build her up to be the next president. They're essentially seeing like, hey, this is a
By week's end, Erica was everywhere and nowhere. On one hand, she was hailed as the new CEO of Turning Point USA, an emblem of endurance. On the other, she was accused of stepping into her husband's shadow too fast, too perfectly. Commentators said her silence was suspicious. Supporters said it was strength. But to everyone watching, that silence was deafening. Because when Rogan's voice echoed, asking why so many details were missing, the rifle photos, the security footage, the inconsistent timelines, no one could answer. Not the reporters, not the officials, not even Erica herself. And so the story began to twist, morphing into something that no one could fully grasp. Part tragedy, part investigation, part theater. What was supposed to end in closure had just opened into chaos. Somewhere between the applause and the suspicion, America stopped mourning Charlie Kirk and started hunting for the truth. Days turned into weeks, and what began as a tragedy evolved into a national obsession. Every post, every headline, every silence became evidence. Erica Kirk's absence from public view was no longer seen as grief. It was interpreted as strategy. And the internet doesn't forgive silence. It weaponizes it. When Turning Point USA announced Erica as the new CEO, the reaction was instant. Some called it empowerment. Others called it premeditation. The very idea that the widow could inherit the empire built by her late husband only deepened the suspicion that her rise was not coincidence, but choreography. The video from that event showed her dressed in black again, walking toward the podium. The crowd roared. Cameras zoomed in. Her face was expressionless, controlled. She spoke slowly, deliberately. "We will continue. We will not stop." No mention of Rogan, no mention of the rumors. Just a declaration that felt rehearsed, yet hauntingly sincere. And that's what made it powerful. Because when emotion feels too perfect, it doesn't inspire trust. It provokes curiosity. Online, a single freeze frame of Erica's face spread like wildfire. Some said her eyes revealed pain. Others swore they saw calculation. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag where is Erica? Hashtag the Kirk files. Hashtag faith or facade. The internet had turned a widow into an investigation. Then came the mystery flight. A private jet reportedly connected to one of her business partners departed Arizona the morning after Rogan's podcast aired. Destination, Idaho. No confirmation, no proof, just flight logs and screenshots shared millions of times. Within hours, tabloids screamed, "Erica Kirk missing," in headlines that felt more like movie posters than journalism. The silence that followed only fed the fire. Inside Turning Point USA, leaks began to surface, whispers of missing documents, canceled meetings, and a sudden shift in internal leadership. Those still loyal to Erica posted cryptic lines on social media. "We know the truth. The truth will protect her." Meanwhile, Rogan returned to his podcast, not to accuse, but to question. His tone was calm, his expression unreadable. "I'm not saying I have evidence. I'm just saying there's more to it." That one sentence reignited the storm. Because in today's world, ambiguity is gasoline. TikTok detectives slowed down event footage, dissected facial expressions, analyzed the sound of a gunshot from 5 different phone clips. Reddit forums mapped the arena seat by seat, arguing about shadows, timing, and background noise. It was no longer journalism. It was digital theater, millions of people playing investigator in real time. And at the center of it all, Erica Kirk stayed silent. No interviews, no statements, no denial. Just one post, white background, black letters. Faith over fear. Within an hour, it had over 1 million comments. Half were prayers, half were accusations. Her silence became the loudest sound on the internet. Because when everyone talks, the one who says nothing becomes the mystery everyone wants to solve.
Analysts began calling it the widow effect, the transformation of grief into power, silence into narrative. Supporters said she was being targeted for her faith. Critics said she was controlling the story by saying nothing at all. And as the storm raged, something strange happened. The story stopped being about Charlie Kirk. It became about us, our hunger for answers, our addiction to mystery, our willingness to turn pain into entertainment. Each new theory brought more confusion, not clarity. Facts became flexible. Truth became emotional. And in the middle of it all, Erica stood still, calm, poised, and unreachable. To some, she's a victim. To others, a strategist. But maybe she's something even more powerful. A mirror of the world we've created, where silence is stronger than truth, and questions last longer than answers. Because in this story, there is no final revelation, no clear villain, no neat ending. Only one haunting reality. When tragedy becomes content, no one owns the truth anymore. Erica Kirk, once a name of grief, is now the face of a modern mystery that refuses to die. And maybe that's why the world can't look away.